What's up? Howdy. We are the Unqualified Filmbros with a podcast. We're back again, and we're doing another special event episode, second one in the span of a month.
Oh, yeah.
Credit to all of us for another fun idea this holiday season. We are doing our Christmas bracket. We're putting together. We got 20 holiday classics that we're going to be talking about. Putting up against each other, seeing which one we like more. Sort of a March Madness style bracket if March Madness only had 20 teams and they were Christmas movies. So before we get started, we have 20 movies that we're going to be talking about. They are seeded by their average rating, 5-star out of 5-star rating on Letterboxd. The tiebreaker, if they had the same average rating, was how many or what percentage of their how many of their reviews were 5 stars. And that was a fairly easy tiebreaker to determine. So everything is seeded out. They're ranked. We've got 20 movies that we're going to be talking about. As for the process, we know we can get a little long-winded sometimes. So after we introduce each matchup, I'm going to set a timer. We're going to have 2 minutes in real time to determine what we have for a winner in each matchup. 19 matchups throughout the entire thing. We're going to determine a winner right here, right now, tonight. So here I go, sharing the screen. If I can figure it out right now. There we go. And boom. You still got us over here on the side.
I have a black screen.
It's okay, Ben.
You'll appear soon enough.
So this is the setup we've got. It's a the Microsoft Excel sheet for the bracket because that's the format that we think fits.
We're
this
very
best.
high tech over here.
Hell yeah.
Extremely.
Just wait till we get funding.
Oh yeah.
All right. So our first matchup here, right as we get underway, is our 16 seed against our 17 seed. The night before against the Santa Claus. 2 minutes has begun.
I think. Go ahead, Declan.
I'll just say, unfortunately, I have to tap out of this debate because I have not seen the night before, so I can't comment on
well,
this.
see, I thought you were going to contribute, but that's okay. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a really interesting debate is whether you want to go for which one is more classic and which one is not as classic. And so for me, obviously the classic one is the Santa Claus. And I think I would have to go with the Santa Claus just purely based off of it being a classic. And I think the night before, it's a fun movie, great cast, but I think the Santa Claus, it's more of a traditional Christmas story. And, that might not be the way that my mind takes me throughout the night, but for this first matchup, that's what I'm going to go for it.
I'm going to disagree with you here because I am personally a big fan of Christmas comedies. And while the Santa Claus is a Christmas comedy, it's first and foremost a family Christmas film. The night before, you got Seth Rogen, you got Anthony Mackie, you got Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I have a ton of fun while I'm watching it. It's not a great film. Neither of them is a truly great film. But, I'm going to cast my vote here for the night before.
Ben?
Ben.
Uh-oh.
Is Ben still here? Oh, no. Oh, crap.
Hold, please. Ben, we're waiting for your thoughts on this first matchup.
I somehow.
There he is.
Okay.
Just one of me is going to go with the Santa.
All right, so that's our 2 minutes. We have a winner 2-1 by virtue of Declan not participating in that vote. So our first upset is on our first matchup. The Santa Claus
Oh,
moves
yeah.
on.
Whew.
So now we go into our next matchup, which is our 15 seed versus our 18 seed, the Polar Express against a very Harold and Kumar Christmas. So 2 minutes starts now. I don't know if we need the full 2 minutes for this one. The Polar Express is a
No.
Christmas classic.
Yeah.
It is.
As
I
much
would
as I
say-
hate the uncanny valley about it, I mean, it's got Tom Hanks. It's got great music.
It's got Tom
Beautiful
Hanks, it's got
story.
Tom Hanks, it's got Tom Hanks, it's got Tom Hanks, it's got Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
All right, we get it. Like Tom Hanks. I
No,
would
I'm just
say
saying
it's-
he's in like 5 roles in the movie.
It's kind of weird. Like I remember that was like
that's
an
also true. I didn't
It's
remember.
like, oh, Tom Hanks in multiple things. It's like, it is
So-
funny though how everyone universally reacted to that one kid with glasses. That like who's a like
The
that
know
one
it all.
kid. Like, yeah, like everyone, same reaction.
I would
It
say
kind of reminds me of Vector from Despicable Me.
There is a similarity.
So do we want to take the full 2 minutes for this, or do we have a winner?
no.
Yeah, we should vote.
I mean, the Polar Express is a better
Yeah.
movie. Like,
I'm technically not voting, but that's purely because I haven't seen Harold and
Declan.
Christmas. But
my God. Have you seen? If you've seen one of them, you can vote for it.
True,
Yeah.
true. Yeah, okay, true.
You don't have to vote for the one that you've seen because maybe you really hated it.
That will be the case in a future matchup. Just for me, I know that that's going to happen for me.
Okay.
So Polar Express
Was,
is
it a
moving
Christmas
on.
story?
Spoiler, man.
Ooh.
All right, so we're moving on here to our 13v20 Home Alone 2, Declan's favorite Christmas movie, against the Star Wars Holiday Special. Declan, show off your sweater.
Ooh.
You know, you gotta wear a Star Wars holiday sweater this Christmas. You know, that's just what you gotta do for the Unqualified Film Bros podcast. You
2
know?
minutes starts now.
The thing is,
the Star Wars
George
Holiday
made a
Special-
really good point.
Go on.
That, like, because I'm wearing this sweater, I'm sort of low key legally obliged to like vote for the holiday special. It's painful, but I think he's right. Unfortunately, I kind of love Home Alone 2. Love is too strong a word, but like it has a soft spot in my heart because I felt like I saw it more than Home Alone 1. But fuck, I think I might have to do holiday special because of my sweater.
Oh my God. Hey, George, when you were ranking these based on Letterboxd, so Office Christmas Party is 19, the holiday special is 20. How much lower was the holiday special compared to any of the other movies?
I don't have the numbers on me right now, but I think Office Christmas Party was like an average 2.8.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Star Wars Holiday Special is like a 1.3, 1.5. So there is
That's
a
pretty significant.
sizable gap
It's
between
pretty
19 and
significant.
20.
That
I
is
think that alone is the argument for dropping.
kind of dumb.
I would
As-
agree. Home
as
Alone
much as-
2, I don't need to say much about this one.
Yeah.
As much
That
as I
movie would probably beat the holiday special.
I want to see Declan continue to vote for the holiday special for the rest of the bracket, I think we can be unanimous in this one. Well, not unanimous because Declan voted for the holiday special.
Declan, come on, man.
Home Alone
It's
2
important.
is moving on.
Yeah.
I will reset our timer here. Our last first round matchup here: How the Grinch Stole Christmas against Office Christmas Party. 2 minutes starts now.
And this is the Jim Carrey, How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
It
correct?
is, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Very- that's important
Mm,
to me.
It is.
yeah.
The 2000 emotionally
Gosh.
scarring visuals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I haven't seen the Jim Carrey How the Grinch Stole Christmas in maybe, I was saying before we started recording, I haven't seen it in like 15 years.
hmm
Office Christmas Party, I just saw. I've only seen it once, but I just saw somewhat recently. Got a great cast: Jason Bateman, T.J. Miller, Jennifer Aniston, Olivia Munn. It's a fun watch. It's not one that you need to really think too much about.
mm.
I'm gonna vote for the upset here. I'm gonna vote for Office Christmas Party.
I'll I mean, again, I sort of feel almost bad voting here because it's just I haven't seen Office Christmas Party. But I honestly kind of want to vote for it just because the Jim Carrey Grinch is sort of like, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I have to agree. I'm gonna go with Office Christmas Party as well. As much as I do love How the Grinch Stole Christmas, I think what I loved about it was Jim Carrey's performance, and that's not the whole movie. Office Christmas Party, I think, is overall definitely a worse film, but I think it's more fun, and it's more enjoyable for somebody my age than How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Yeah, I haven't seen Office Christmas Party, but How the Grinch Stole Christmas was never my favorite. Like Max said, I enjoyed Jim Carrey, but like even only to an extent. There just wasn't a lot that I enjoyed in that movie. So you know what? Since I didn't like that movie, I'll vote for Office Christmas Party too.
All right. And that is 2 minutes.
The big upset right there.
Yeah.
We have our 19 seed Office Christmas Party. I didn't see that coming. It's moving on. So now we're moving into our
Ooh.
more. We're getting into the higher seeds.
I kind of like this. I kind of like these higher seats. This is a real.
It'll be tough. This one we might
real.
actually use our 2 minutes for these.
Yeah.
So first up here, we're gonna go 8 and 9. Christmas Story versus National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. 2 minutes starts now. I watched A Christmas Story for the first time in my life last night. I do not get the hype. I'm only taking 8 seconds here. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and I haven't even seen it.
Christmas Story is a holiday classic that's genuinely really funny, and gets a really good vibe of Christmas. Is it overexposed? Yes, but that's not the movie's fault. I would
Credit
say,
to TBS for that.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's fun. It's funny, and it's a good time. I vote for A Christmas Story.
Yeah, me too. I also haven't seen National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, but Christmas Story was, I think, one of the first kind of adult-ish themed Christmas movies that I saw growing up, and so it has a special place in my heart. And I'm going with sentimental value for Christmas movies.
I think that's all right.
But this is a bit of a tough one. I actually agree with George. I don't really like A Christmas Story that much.
Ooh.
Again, just for everyone listening, I am Jewish, so I'm a little biased. Like, I don't like Christmas. But I do have a special place in my heart for Jimmy Stewart.
But
Oh no.
Jimmy Stewart, and he just died.
We lost Ben again. So we're gonna pause the timer here and hope he jumps back on.
Give him a second. Just out of curiosity, since I would say, even though they're obviously haters of it, it's still a non-common opinion. What about it didn't click with you in A Christmas Story?
For me?
Yeah, for you. Oh, never mind. Ben's back.
Hi, Ben.
Having some technical difficulties.
I think we have a tie here, George.
A tie? Well, we talked about this before we started recording, and I don't know if I established it in the setup that I did here, but Max had a great idea that is probably the best universal, unbiased way of settling a tie. We're gonna flip a coin, and
we've got a special ceremonial coin. It's engraved with Unqualified Filmbros. Don't look at it too closely.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But I'm going to flip the coin now. The higher seed will be heads. The lower seed will be tails. And that will be the same throughout all tiebreakers. So that means that A Christmas Story will be heads and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation will be tails. And I guess I'll flip it now, George.
This is high drama. Go for it.
All right, here we go. It is tails. We have an upset in the second round. The first one of the second round, I mean.
Wow.
Eklund's favorite Christmas movie of all time, A Christmas Story.
I'm not. I respect the rules here. I respect the rules here.
All right, moving on to our next matchup. It is going to be Home Alone 2 against The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Ooh.
2 minutes starts now.
I'm glad I don't have to do any more votes for holiday special. Home Alone 2, I enjoy a lot. I feel like the New York setting is actually really good for the Home Alone stuff, kind of. Like, I really enjoy how it does New York, even if it's exactly the same as Home Alone 1. I think it has something special about it. So I say Home Alone 2. Nightmare Before Christmas is halfway between a Halloween movie and a Christmas movie. So it falters in comparison to Home Alone 2.
Yeah, to your point, Declan, the split of Halloween and Christmas makes this decision for me. I'm going with Home Alone 2, Lost in New York as well.
Yep, easy for me as well. Home Alone 2, all the way.
Wow. Again, I am Jewish, so I kind of like The Nightmare Before Christmas. I have no strong tie to Christmas, other than like I enjoy some of the movies and the songs that come out. Nightmare Before Christmas I enjoy more as a film. Home Alone 2 is good, but I just watched the original. Nightmare Before Christmas is more of an original to me, so I'll vote for that, even if it's the one vote.
Mm-hmm.
That's all right.
That's fair.
I think we got a 3-1 here.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Ben, you still
Big
with us?
upset.
I think you're frozen.
No, he's still here. No, he's still here.
He's still here? Might just be frozen for me. And I'm the one managing the recording. So
Oh no.
That's not.
It's all right, Ben.
No, you're good, Ben. You're good. You're good.
You know what? Well, your voice is here, and we love hearing your voice. So
Yeah, just put in some images for my face.
Just start dabbing.
Meet my frozen skull.
So now we're moving on to our next matchup, which is our 7 seed versus our 10 seed. This is a tough one. Home Alone against Elf. 2 minutes starts now.
I gotta go with my nostalgia here and all that. Home Alone as a kid, the first one specifically, freaked me out. Like it kind of like the idea of burglars being home alone and burglars coming in, low-key freaked me out. Elf I watched all the time. I like it's so funny. We literally in my family still quote Elf. It's gotta be Elf. It's gotta be Elf. It's yeah.
Elf is my my second favorite Christmas movie of all time, so it gets my vote too. Home Alone is great, but Elf is better.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Did we lose Ben?
What about you?
Oh,
What
he's
about
coming back. I guess I'll go. This is tough for me because I love both these films so much. I think I'll go with Elf, for the reason that it's an original movie, and you know I already voted for Home Alone 2, and I like Home Alone 2 better than I like Home Alone. And I think part of it is the New York setting, like Declan said. And you know, I just end up eliminating Home Alone later on if it were to get to a matchup with Home Alone 2. So I'm gonna go with Elf because it also has a great family story. It's a very traditional Christmas story that centers around people and sort of their relationships, and that's what I'm looking for in Christmas movies.
Ben?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I would say both of them are pretty original movies.
Sure.
But for me, the vote has to go to Home Alone. I like Elf, but I don't love Elf the same way that Home Alone like resonates. I think Elf came out a little later. Home Alone has just always been a staple. And even though I've been saying, you know, I don't really care about the Christmas theme, it does work really well. And the movie is really wholesome and it's really funny. It's got a lot going for it. And not to say that Elf doesn't, but Home Alone resonates more with me. And maybe that's because I was a kid when I watched it. It's about a kid. But that takes my vote.
Well, that's 2 minutes. We have a majority here, 3-1. Sorry, Ben. But we're taking Elf in another upset. Our next matchup is right down here in this area, if you guys can see me selecting. Office Christmas Party against A Charlie Brown Christmas. 2 minutes starts now.
Charlie Brown.
Yeah, this
I'm
is
sorry, it's Charlie
This is not
Brown.
competition. Charlie Brown, probably one of the best Christmas movies of all time.
the sheer number of times I like use as a like a joke in text messages, like Charlie Brown walking away sadly, that originates from Charlie Brown Christmas alone.
I mean, just the soundtrack to that movie is better
Wah,
than
wah, 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 wah. Yeah, we're unanimous here. We don't need the full 2 minutes.
That was easy.
There's a reason why A Charlie Brown Christmas is our 3 seed. Everybody on Letterboxd loves it. We love it. Moving on.
All my homies hate. No.
This Elite 8 that we're forming here, these first 4 movies we've got in our Elite 8, it's going to make for some interesting matchups later on, I think. So now our 5th matchup of the Sweet 16 is going to be the Santa Claus against It's a Wonderful Life. Our 1 seed against our 17 seed. 2 minutes starts now.
I mean, like the truth of the matter is, I like a Santa Claus well enough, but the Santa Claus is like fine when you get right down to it. It's a Wonderful Life. It's iconic for a reason, because it's a great film. It has really resonant themes and really compelling characters that the names of are still widely known among people.
All right, Clarence.
There you go. Honestly, like, yeah, no, it's got.
I just saw the movie for the first time earlier today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it there's a reason why it's our 1 seed. Again, it's an all-time Christmas classic. I know that even after 1 viewing. It gets my vote.
Yeah, you're not getting arguments from me on this one.
I think I may have already voted for it by accident when I was having technical difficulties, but I'll vote for it again because it's accurate.
Welcome back, Ben.
Yeah. I mean, if this was the Santa Claus 2, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's a joke.
How do we mute someone? All right. Moving on.
Which one has Jack Frost in it?
That for that joke.
It's Santa Claus 3?
I think that's Santa Claus 3.
That's with Martin Short as Jack Frost.
Oh my God.
It's a tribute to capitalism.
The fact that they got to do a movie for this.
Yeah. So we're moving down to the bottom of the bracket here. Our 6 seed Miracle on 34th Street against number 11 Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Time starts now.
This one is tough. Don't get me wrong, but for me, it is another. I have to go with A Miracle on 34th Street. I like the performance of Santa Claus is one of the best Santa performances out there, and I distinctly remember one Christmas Eve, like it directly like raising my like cheer. Like it was just a day that I felt sort of like glum, and I watched it and I genuinely felt like moved by it. For me, it has to be Miracle on 34th Street. Now, with all respect to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, all respect to it.
Well, I have never seen Miracle on 34th Street, but I grew up with Rudolph, so that's gonna get my vote, even though I've never seen its opponent. I love it. It's a classic.
I'm gonna go with Rudolph as well. I also grew up with the story, and I love it. I loved Miracle on 34th Street as well. Great story, beautiful, but I just have to give it to Rudolph there.
I'm glad you at least know it's okay. That makes me.
Is that a drive-by?
Ben?
I've seen both movies probably like once or twice. Rudolph is probably more memorable, but that's just because it's very memorable, like pop culture appears more often. Miracle on 34th Street is probably the better crafted movie. But I'll give
That's
it to
time.
Rudolph because it's more holiday festive.
All right.
Well, it looked for a second there like we were going to have our second tie, but Ben
know.
flipped right at the last second.
Yeah.
So
Took a little turn.
sorry, Declan, but Rudolph is moving on in another upset.
All right.
A good upset right there. I like that one. Yeah.
That
It's
sets up
not-
a very interesting matchup in
Yeah.
the next round, too.
Ooh, oh my gosh.
That's
Oh,
an
yeah.
easy one for me. That's really easy.
So now we're moving on. Our second to last matchup of the Sweet 16 is going to be the Polar Express against Die Hard. Time
Let's-
starts now.
But
This honestly could have been the finals. This could have been the finals.
Mm-hmm.
Look,
Die Hard is my favorite Christmas movie of all time. Yes, it is a Christmas movie. I love the Polar Express. I will watch the Polar Express back to back to back every Christmas season. But I got to go with Die Hard.
Yeah, I don't think there's a competition here. The Polar Express, pretty innovative. Robert Zemeckis, doing what he does, messing with CGI, trying to craft a different vision. But Die Hard was just such a it was an instant classic. And who cares when it came out? Because it obviously was supposed to be released in December. It's a Christmas movie. It's a classic. It's very unique.
Data shows viewings of Die Hard spike in December.
Yeah.
It's a Christmas movie.
Like, I mean, the thing.
Ho, ho, ho. Now I have a machine gun. It's a Christmas movie.
Polar Express is like a good movie, but it has issues like with its animation being a bit uncanny valley. Die Hard is literally quite possibly I think it very well might be the best action movie ever made. Like it's a little bit almost
It's tough, but it's definitely the best action Christmas movie for
Oh,
sure. By miles.
I mean, I feel like in terms of like the craftsmanship of an 80s modern action movie, I feel like Die Hard. Obviously, if you include other subgenres, it gets a bit more complicated. But in terms of straightforward action, I think soul action, I think Die Hard might be the best of its class, honestly. But yeah, it has to be Die Hard for me.
Max, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I'm gonna be the contrarian. I'm going with Polar Express.
And that's time.
All right.
Exactly.
It is actually, but I'll say it was for the joke. It was 3-1 anyway. Sorry, Max.
No, I mean, I wasn't trying to change anybody's mind, but I'm going. I had to go with Polar Express.
I did have a fact about this. So did you guys know Alan Rickman spent most of the movie in a chair because he broke his legs
Oh my gosh.
doing some scene, or at least he hurt his legs or whatever.
Huh.
Doing the scene where he was falling from the building. That was one of the first scenes they shot. And he actually fell and hurt himself. So I think he had broken legs.
Well, yeah, they dropped him from the 30th floor.
Yeah.
Well,
So the rest of the movie is sitting down. That's because he couldn't stand up.
that was, I said this in a recent Letterboxd review of Die Hard, but the fact that it was his first ever film role is like coming up in the bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, 2 outs, you're down by 3. You've never had an at-bat in the big leagues before, and you hit a walk-off grand slam. It's an iconic film performance. He's one of the best villains of all time, Hans Gruber. Yeah.
And to be fair, he did have a lot of stage experience. He
Oh,
was
yeah,
an experienced actor.
True, but to make the move, to make the jump to film with a performance like that is just legendary. Moving on to our last Sweet 16 matchup, The Muppets Christmas Carol against Love Actually. Time starts now.
I think like Muppets Christmas Carol. It has Michael Caine in it. It has Kermit the Frog in it. It has all, and it also has Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol in it. This was the worst accent I've ever put on.
What is
Seriously, how do you
I'm
mute
just for that
someone?
one.
I vote for Muppets Christmas Carol because
Oh my
it's a
God.
beautiful. It's Christmas Carol and it's the Muppets. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I will say the Muppets normally do a pretty good job putting on classic stories. Personally, I kind of hate Love Actually. So I'll vote the Muppets Christmas Carol just because of that.
I will go the opposite way. Love Actually is actually one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. I love it. It's cheesy. It's wonderfully awful, but I will watch it every single year without fail. I know all the music. I love the characters, and so my vote is unequivocally for Love Actually.
Cool.
George.
Oh,
Ooh.
It's 3-1, Max. I'm sorry.
Ooh. Wow.
Muppets Christmas Carol.
didn't even say anything. Just put it in. Just to decide.
Was that a stab you made there?
I mean, this is a case of voting for a movie I've seen and not choosing one or the other. It's the Muppets. It's the classic Tale of Christmas, the Christmas Carol. Nothing against Love Actually because I've never seen it. So this is purely just a vote for a movie.
Yeah, I'm personally just biased against all rom-coms. So, fortunately.
So now we're going into the Elite Eight here,
Ooh.
with perhaps the toughest matchup of them all. Elf, Die Hard. Time starts now.
Oh, jeez.
They are my top two Christmas movies, and it is so hard. It's so hard to choose one over the other. Maybe we should have allowed more than 2 minutes for this one, but
Elf 2 minutes for me. It's Die Hard all the way. Elf is good. Die Hard is fantastic. I'll watch it every Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, I
Going with Elf.
don't. Oh man,
Elf is
No,
more pure
no.
Christmas.
what is it?
But Elf is more pure Christmas, but I gotta go with Die Hard.
You already said Die Hard's your favorite Christmas movie. I think you have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, it would be a crime to go against my top Christmas movie. So Die Hard.
I think I need to do it this way. The sheer amounts of time that I've quoted Elf and have thought about Elf means that Die Hard you can watch any time of year. Elf is good for getting in that Christmas mood. I think this is worthy of a tie and a coin.
It's absolutely worthy of a tie. This is a really tough
I'm
one.
going with Elf.
All right, so coin flip.
Yep.
Coin flip.
All right,
It's
so
Die Hard.
again, higher seed is heads, lower seed is tails. Here we go.
Let's see this.
It is tails.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh.
Elf. Oh, wow.
That's
I didn't see that
that's
coming.
brutal.
Wow.
My heart.
I feel this. This feels. Oh wow! I respect the rules of the game.
I do too.
Yeah.
It's
Emotions running high.
great. It is. It is. All right.
This is a tough blow. All right, next we're going right back to a Muppets Christmas Carol. We're putting up against Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
Hmm.
Which gets my vote?
Which one?
Home Alone 2.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
sorry.
would vote
Time starts
two.
now.
Home Alone 2.
Are we
I
three of
don't
us?
have anything to add.
This is a difficult one because it's both films I like. I enjoy. You know, like I just enjoy them. You know, I don't have as much like heart invested in either one, but I enjoy both of them. I think because of how great the story A Christmas Carol is, I'm gonna go with A Muppet's Christmas Carol. But yeah, that's my vote.
Has Declan convinced any of the rest of us?
No, I mean personally, since Home Alone 1 is kind of out, I enjoy Home Alone 2 more than all the rest of them, but also just the series itself, I feel like should go on.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Ben and vote for the upset. Max?
Oh, I already voted for Home Alone. Yeah.
Fair.
All right. Now we're moving on to what we teased this a little while ago. Charlie Brown Christmas against Rudolph. Time starts now.
I'll go first. This is an easy one for me. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Yes, it's iconic, but a Charlie Brown Christmas is much more iconic. I think the soundtrack is phenomenal, like an actual phenomenal jazz soundtrack. There's so many memorable scenes.
Agreed.
And it's just all around a wholesome movie.
Charlie Brown Christmas.
Shit, that's like this is the closest I've ever come to be actually convinced by something. I was leaning towards Rudolph. Now I'm slightly like, wait, do I go with Charlie Brown? Like your point about like it's a genuinely great jazz soundtrack is like
It is.
oh yeah, like that's
Vince Guaraldi,
what do you think, Max?
great composer.
Yeah.
Gosh, this one's tough for me. I love both these films so much.
This is like a battle of pure Christmas classics.
This one is really difficult for me. But I think I'm gonna have to go with Charlie Brown Christmas over Rudolph. Like Ben said, the music is iconic. It's a wonderfully heartfelt story, and so it's pure Christmas. Rudolph also is pure Christmas, but I think Charlie Brown takes the edge ever so slightly for me.
Now, what if we were to sub in Rudolph and the Island of Misfit Toys?
Come on, man.
I enjoy that. I enjoy that one.
Yeah, but
I must say I'm surprised this one was unanimous. But I mean, I guess there's credit to Ben's argument. But
Charlie Brown, it's just so classic,
It is.
Rudolph
It is.
is too, but like it is one
I
of the
love
most
Rudolph.
essential movies.
I love Rudolph, but Charlie Brown Christmas, that one's easier for me than Die Hard against Elf.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah.
That's time. I got my Mandalorian opening theme timer.
Hell yeah.
That's what that was. I didn't notice.
That's a good.
Yeah, devastated that we didn't get a new season this fall, but maybe we'll get one
We
earlier
got
in the year next year. We get Book of Boba Fett, which we're definitely going to talk about come the new year. So
Watch
now
out for that, everyone.
it's a spring ahead preview for you. Our last matchup of the Elite Eight, It's a Wonderful Life against National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Time starts now.
I mean,
Go on.
What is it?
come on, guys.
Yeah.
Do the right thing here,
Christmas
please.
Vacation is,
We
funny and
don't
stuff,
need-
but It's a Wonderful Life.
We don't need to say anything.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Wait, what?
Exactly. That's what we're all.
I got you, Declan.
Yeah, you did. I was like, wait, was I completely off on everything else?
Declan's like, oh yeah, we like classics. No,
I was like,
I like Chevy
Declan's
Chase.
faith in the group would just drop.
Already at the rock bottom, George. I don't want to see where it goes after.
So I'm gonna expand our time restriction for the final four and for the finals to 3 minutes.
Let's just have everybody speak.
I do feel like We do want to still have a time limit, so that we keep ourselves from going off on tangents. But
Home Alone 3, am
we
I
have-
right, everyone? No.
How do you mute someone?
You
Um,
disabled.
So we all want to have time to talk, and we want to get our thoughts out there, have an actual discussion for these. Not that we haven't had actual discussions over the last 40 minutes or so, but let's dive into our first semifinal, which is Elf against A Charlie Brown Christmas. 3 minutes starts now.
I'll vote first again. A Charlie Brown Christmas, easily. Elf, again. It's a great movie. I think Charlie Brown, similar to Rudolph, it's just a step above, you know? It's too classic, and the story just resonates so much. Less funny than Elf, I'll give it that, but more wholesome.
If Elf wasn't as lodged in my heart, I feel like I would have to again be on Ben's side in this, but it's just Elf is too. I love Elf too much. I purely for my own opinion, I have to go with Elf. Like Will Ferrell is too funny. I honestly feel like all the pieces really come together in it well. And so yeah, so I have to go with Elf.
Max?
I'm also going with Charlie Brown Christmas. I think I've been pretty consistent across most of these choices in choosing the film for me that has the most emotional impact, and that's the main thing that I look for in a Christmas movie. I'm not looking for like the best film or the best made film. It can be a terribly made film but have a great story and make me feel good about going into a new year, and that's what I like in Christmas films, and Charlie Brown Christmas definitely does that. So Charlie Brown Christmas.
As much as I love A Charlie Brown Christmas, if Die Hard's not going to make the finals, I really want Elf too. So I'm going to force the coin flip. Max,
All right,
I'll
here we
defer to you
go.
for the coin.
Heads, tails. Let's do it.
Okay, so heads is Charlie Brown, tails is Elf.
Yeah.
It is heads.
Yes.
Our first place in the finals is A Charlie Brown Christmas.
Wow.
It's a little bit devastating.
Honestly, listen to the soundtrack
I mean,
probably more than even watch the movie. I listen to that like on repeat once December comes around.
Mhm.
Okay, so I saw that it was heads, and I had like a mini heart attack because I forgot that the higher seed was was the one that I wanted. I
Unbiased.
think I've been rooting for the.
This is not undeserved, but this hurts. I mean,
This one's hard for me.
Yeah.
113. Oh God.
113
Oh.
is our final, our second semifinal in the final four. You got It's a Wonderful Life, which is our 1 seed. It's our top Letterboxd rated film in the Christmas canon for the purposes of our bracket. Going up against Home Alone 2, which beat Declan's favorite Christmas movie of all time back in the first round, Star Wars Holiday Special. So 3 minutes for this matchup starts right now. This is a tough one, guys.
Hard.
like I said, I enjoy the setting in Home Alone a lot. It's a it's a fun way to do New York City. It's a fun version of New York City on that film. It's a Wonderful Life is in of itself now a trope. You know, it's like it's a collective. It's a kind of low-key a collective story that people, even if they haven't seen it, like I think George could attest to, they still a little bit know the story, and it still has some resonance. I think It's a Wonderful Life is a well-crafted film that and is deserving of praise. Home Alone 2 is a fun, good film, but I think I do have to give props to quality of script and craftsmanship and say It's a Wonderful Life.
Until you said the film name, I had no idea which way you were leaning.
I
Shit.
really didn't either.
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna go a little bit of the opposite way and argue that Home Alone 2. I'm going with Home Alone 2 because of its accessibility and its message to young kids and to me as I was growing up in valuing family, valuing people that are close to you, and reaching out and finding your own people as you strike out on your own, whether that's by choice or by irresponsibility of parents.
They did it twice in 2 Christmases.
We did it
How do you
again.
lose the same kid?
But
pretty bad.
that's where I'm coming from when I choose Home Alone 2, is that I think it's a really great message for kids to be able to look to through comedy and through, I think, a little bit of self-advocacy and, you know, all these great things, even though it's through violence, which I'm not condoning, but you know, that's what I like about Home Alone 2 so much, is that it's so easy for, you know, an 8-year-old to say, oh my God, look at Kevin, and I can see him in myself, and I can sort of see how he hasn't really valued his family and how his family doesn't value him, and yet it's the holidays and you're able to find that little piece of yourself that brings it full circle and can maybe not forgive your family, but find common ground and start the communication over again in the new year.
I'm going to follow Max's lead here, but for a different reason that hasn't been brought up about Home Alone or Home Alone 2 yet. I'm never going to vote against Joe Pesci. No, but in all seriousness, I just saw It's a Wonderful Life for the first time this week. I understand why it's a Christmas classic if it's not exactly the movie I anticipated it to be based on what I had heard about it all my life. Home Alone 2, I don't think it's as good as the original, just because the original was so fresh. But again, the New York setting, you got Christmas time in the city, you've got Kevin McAllister seeing his, you know, whole opportunity in front of him. You see how he trolls the concierge played by Tim Curry. There's a lot to love about Home Alone 2.
A lot of fun cameos, like Rob Schneider.
Yeah, and
yes, that's who you're talking about, Declan. Yes, I understand. Yes.
when we first, just a little sidebar, and I'm not going to mention the guy's name because his name doesn't bear repeating on our podcast.
Oh, yeah.
But when I think it was Max who suggested that we definitely include Home Alone 2, just
Probably.
because it's up there with Home Alone as a Christmas classic. But Declan, his first instinct was to reference a certain New York television personality who agreed to let his hotel be featured prominently in the film if he were allowed to have a brief cameo, a speaking cameo as a supporting member of the cast and featured lightly in the plot. Again, this New York television personality will remain nameless, but yeah, that was Declan's first instinct about the film, and so it is my great honor to cast my vote. We're well past 3 minutes here, but I'm going Home Alone 2.
I'll rank it out.
Are you going to force a tie, or are you going to send Home Alone 2 to the finals?
So I will
Talk us through
say
it.
Home Alone 2 it's a fun movie. It's a lot of fun.
Get the coin ready.
It's a good movie. Again, it is the sequel, so it is less original.
True.
And since this
Tell
is
that to the Dark Knight.
Well, yeah, but the Dark Knight has elaborated and did a lot of different things than Batman Begins. Whereas Home Alone 2 pretty much is the same formula, just in a different place. So, I will say, competing with It's a Wonderful Life, it's just a little bit tough, you know. It's a classic. It is much more original than, again, a sequel that takes the original premise and puts it in a different place. And for me, honestly, I like the original setting better. That church scene is that's one of the most wholesome parts of the movie. I think it trades off more comedy in the sequel for less wholesomeness. But I will say It's a Wonderful Life is a better crafted movie. It's more wholesome, and I have a soft spot in my heart for Jimmy Stewart. So,
All right.
Here we go.
Coin
It's
flip. Here we
Wonderful
go.
Tales, Home Alone 2. Let's see it.
Oh, wait, it didn't flip. Sorry. Hold on.
You had one
There we
job.
go. It is Tails.
oh no!
Yes. I'm
Hey, guys.
so glad we decided
Guys.
on a coin flip.
Can you imagine if one of us voted for the holiday special and Home Alone 2 didn't make it? To change completely.
Oh my god!
Oh, we-
Voted for the Muppets Christmas Carol. I didn't know.
Oh my god!
In retrospect, I should have voted. I was never going to do this, but I should have voted for the holiday special just to force just the possibility,
The possibility.
Yeah,
knowing that
It
Declan would
was
have to
on
vote
the
for it
next
every time.
round for sure.
I would have to, which sucks because I wouldn't want to, but I would have to. It would have been Die Hard versus the holiday special. I would have to vote against Die Hard. Yeah. Sorry. Anyway.
So I'm not going to set a time limit for this one. We have our finals matchup. It's Home Alone 2 Lost in New York against A Charlie Brown Christmas, which I think is the matchup that we all saw coming at the beginning of the night.
Yeah, exactly. You made this one really easy for me. This is obviously Charlie Brown Christmas for me. As I said, Home Alone 2, it's funny, but it doesn't get to the same level of like a classic Christmas movie. And also, I think A Charlie Brown Christmas is just overall a better movie. And again, the soundtrack. I mean, the soundtrack wins it almost by itself. It's one of the most iconic Christmas soundtracks, one of the most iconic jazz soundtracks. Listen to it all the time. Easy vote for me.
Again, it's like it's the truth. That soundtrack alone it's so good. It's really like
It's really iconic.
like I mean it's like you could just play the notes. I mean you can play the notes in it and everyone can just instantly picture like Charlie Brown Christmas, and all that. I mean again there's so many images from it. This is such a weird mashup. It's like,
It's a very strange.
like how have we? I was genuinely expecting, and I was curious to see Wonderful Life versus Die Hard. That's if I was gonna bet, that's what I would have bet.
I probably could have called that one too.
Yeah. It's like anyway. What do you guys think? What do you guys think?
Declan, are you not casting your vote yet?
I'm gonna hold off a second.
Okay.
I want to hear what you guys say.
Max?
This is also easy for me. I have to go with Charlie Brown Christmas. As much as I poured my heart and soul into that argument between It's a Wonderful Life and Home Alone 2, this is a much easier matchup. And sorry to all of our viewers who probably were hoping for a little bit more of an a little bit more spirited debate in the final. I don't imagine it going that way. I might be wrong. George might prove me wrong, but I would imagine that Charlie Brown Christmas is going to take home the trophy. And I never would have predicted in all of my years that It's a Wonderful Life and Home Alone 2 would provide us with some of the best debate of the entire night. Yeah, Charlie Brown Christmas, 100%.
I'm gonna go next here, and I'm gonna contradict something I said just a few minutes ago, and end this for the night before Declan even gets to cast a vote. I said I'd never vote against Joe Pesci. I'm voting against Joe Pesci. So our 2021 Christmas bracket champion, as we all saw coming at the beginning of the night, is it's a Christmas classic. A Charlie
actually like this
Brown
movie.
It is
Christmas.
worthy. It is.
This is my favorite. If it's not Die Hard, I mean, Die Hard is like a fun one again, but a Charlie Brown Christmas is like, it's one of the most wholesome movies I've ever seen. You know, it just makes you feel good. And listening to the soundtrack, you just feel good. You feel warm inside, you know?
Mhm.
And that's what Christmas is all about. Even for me, a Jew.
Yeah.
I love that movie. It's great.
All right.
You know one thing. Can I say one quick thing? It was a testament to its quality that we were able to advance It's a Wonderful Life in the second round without any debate and all that. So that's something special that It's a Wonderful Life can have.
I think so. Yeah.
I think it would have been the upset of the entire time we've been doing this podcast to have our 1 seed in our first ever bracket lose in its first matchup. So I'm
And the 1 seed be It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just any 1 seed. The 1 seed is It's a Wonderful Life.
I
Yeah.
will say, I think it's kind of crazy that Die Hard, I mean, it's a great
Honestly,
movie, but
yeah.
I didn't expect it to be higher than a Charlie Brown Christmas.
True. That's true.
yeah, Letterboxd. I mean, it depends on exposure for their rankings. You know,
Yeah.
films with
I
fewer
would-
views, fewer reviews have
I would
more weight
imagine-
given to each one. It's like a vote in Wyoming versus a vote in New York. But enough about the Electoral College. We've already talked enough about that New York television personality.
No, but
Um,
I'll also say that I feel like A Charlie Brown Christmas isn't like a movie you would think to like review on Letterboxd, kind of. Like I feel like it's
Yeah.
slightly
It's
disadvantaged
a classic. You don't
by not
feel the need.
being like a movie that was released in cinemas. You know. It's
Yeah.
like,
That to me makes it all that more improbable that it was not only the number 3 seed, but that we were able to find it and then put it in the bracket.
true.
Yeah, that is
That's very true.
Yeah. So that is going to wrap up our special event episode that we teased on social media all week. We hope you enjoyed hearing our thoughts on all of these Christmas classics, and also It's a Wonderful Life. So that wraps up the bracket. We'll be back next week. We're actually going to be talking about a 2021 movie, which we haven't done in over a month.
That's pretty crazy.
Wow.
So we'll let you know what that's going to be at the start of next Friday's episode. Next Friday is obviously December 17th. We all have our tickets to see Spider-Man No Way Home during its opening weekend. We'll come at you early the week of Christmas with a special early week episode of Unqualified Filmbros to talk about No Way Home. But in the meantime, we got another review coming next week. We're excited to share that one with you. So until next week, if you don't watch us again before Christmas and before the New Year, coming from someone who is half Jewish, happy belated Hanukkah.
There you go. Happy holidays to everybody. Thanks for
Happy
tuning in.
holidays.
Coming
see
from someone who's Jewish, Merry Christmas.
We'll see you next
Oh.
time. Camels national champs.